Hello. This work is on reducing implicit gender bias using a virtual workplace environment. So there is evidence to support that a person can consciously believe that they would never willingly discriminate against others, but still unconsciously have implicit biases that can affect their behavior. And there's also something called microaggressions and gender microaggressions. So these are brief, commonplace, daily, verbal, behavioral, environmental indignities. They can be intentional or not, that communicate hostile or negative, and in this case, gender slights and insults. Gender microaggressions devalue women. They dismiss many of their accomplishments. They can occur frequently and limit women's effectiveness in professional environments. There's a lot of research to show perspective taking in self-avatars and virtual environments can reduce biases. They can increase empathy. And there is also evidence to show that online crowdsourcing virtual environments can be effective for perspective taking. So in this work, we used a desktop virtual environment, and we had a workplace scenario, several scenes. So we had a job interview, the first day at the job, a meeting, and then a few weeks later talking to a colleague in the break room. We actually had users read out prompts and record their voice using a microphone to try to increase the sense of embodiment. And we had mirrors placed in in every scene so that they could see their own virtual avatar. We also had time in the beginning for them to get used to their avatar in front of a mirror, and we had engagement check questions as well. We conducted 2 experiments. So one was negative in experiment 1, and one was a positive scenario in experiment 2. They were each between subjects, and they each had 2 conditions, female self-avatar and a male self-avatar as the control. So we had participants on Prolific, and they took an implicit association test, and then 2 days later, they took the virtual workplace simulation and another implicit association test and some questionnaires. So here is an example from one of the scenes, just a small part of one of the scenes. So it's a meeting. This is a really commonplace thing that women and people of color report in the workplace. So Kate, the female avatar in the negative condition, her idea is ignored in the meeting. She has a male colleague who then says the same idea, and then it's listened to. And some of the gender microaggressions included here are second-class citizenship, assumptions of inferiority, and invisibility. Results, so we measured the delta IAT, the difference, the pre and post IATs, and results showed a significant difference in the negative scenario, the negative condition. When users were a female self-avatar, they had significantly decreases in implicit gender bias compared to the male self-avatar. There were no differences in the positive condition. Users felt somewhat embodied in the negative condition, but not very embodied in the positive condition. And we just made some checks, to make sure, did people feel listened to or not listened to in the correct scenarios, and were they attracted to the avatar, because that would create objectification of the avatar and so forth. So we did quite a few checks in that way. We had some really powerful comments from participants saying that they'd be, for example, bitterly disappointed if I ever raise a son to behave like that in the workplace. That was from a male participant. Another male participant said, although he was aware of gender discrimination, experiencing it in person made me feel uncomfortable and forced me to consider my positionality, and he did enjoy it. So we make 3 recommendations to avoid stereotype activation, provide a backstory on the self-avatar, and think carefully about the type of scenario, positive, negative, or neutral. And we're going to be working on improving the fidelity of the virtual environment for improved embodiment in future work. So thank you very much.